So this is interesting. Canada to establish first Chinese currency hub in North America. Wait a minute. Our ally? Why aren't you establishing some kind of new U.S. dollar trading hub, man? Come on. USA. China. China, because that looks like who the new number one is. Interesting. When Stephen Harper was first elected Prime Minister, he was adamant that he wouldn't stop pressing China on human rights, but critics say Harper has softened his stance a little bit since then, and the new currency hub is proof of that. Canada and China have signed a reciprocal currency deal that's expected to dramatically boost exports. Why haven't I heard China and USA have come to an agreement, reciprocal? I don't hear the word China and USA anymore. And like I said, when the BRICS nations got together, Brazil, Russia, China, India, etc., we're coming up with our own little IMF, World Bank kind of system. We're coming up with a bunch of our own new precious metals exchanges and other market exchanges. Nowhere in that conversation was, hey, America should be, United States, so let's ask them to be a part of it. No. Nope, not at all. Don't want nothing to do with us, and can you blame them? And now our next door neighbor of Canada, a huge ally, is opening up a Chinese, what do they call this, trading hub, currency hub? The hub will foster far easier trade between the Canadian dollar and the Chinese yuan, also known as the renminbi. It makes Canada the first country in the Americas to have a deal to trade in the renminbi. The deal was announced by Prime Minister Stephen Harper and Premier, don't know how to even pronounce that name in Chinese, so I'll just skip that, in Beijing. Authorized by China's central bank, it will allow direct business between the Canadian dollar and the Chinese yuan, cutting out the middleman, in most cases, the US dollar. Canadian exporters forced to use the American currency to do business in China are faced with higher currency exchange costs and longer waits to close deals. No, I don't think that's the only reason. We've printed more money than the whole world combined, and in the last few years we've doubled the amount of money we've printed and therefore our debt, and they don't want anything to do with that during the collapse. They want to be free and clear of US dollars when the collapse happens. If Canada is to maintain the standard of living that it enjoys today, he adds, it needs to tap into the Chinese market. The currency deal is the first step on that path. Earlier today, Canada and China also signed more than 20 commercial deals valued at more than $1 billion. So, if Canada is to basically survive in the economic world, which means survive completely, as flat out plain as you can just say the word survive, plain and simple, because you don't have an economy that's working, you don't have trade and things going on, you're going to pretty much cease to exist. You're not going to have a standard of living. Which reminds me, I've mentioned this and I love this. This is one of my favorite phrases. I just can't seem to find the video of it happening again on YouTube, but it was George Bush Sr., Papa Bush. My favorite Bush, by the way. 1990-ish time frame. Having a big speech, lots and lots of people there showed up, and he's talking about the economy and the American lifestyle and how great it is here, and he says, I've got a message for the rest of the world, or something like that, right? The American lifestyle is not negotiable. And the crowd stands up cheering and screaming, and yeah, screw those other countries. The American lifestyle is not negotiable. That's why we're America. That's why we're number one, son. Until approximately mid-2015-ish area, Got some problems coming up in that time frame, but I'll be long gone, and my son, who will take over, he'll be long gone as far as out of the political spotlight. And hopefully people forget that I said that whole thing about the American lifestyle not being negotiable, because the truth of the matter is it is extremely negotiable, especially when you don't have a foot to stand on during the negotiations with the rest of the world, such as, most importantly, China and friends. And now in friends, you can add Canada, who was our closest friend. Hey man, I thought we were pals. I thought we were best friends, man. Best buds, BFFs. Canada, BFFs, man. I thought what's up, man? Yeah, listen, your dollar, not liking how much money you guys are printing, man. It's looking real bad. All these stories coming out, finally hitting the mainstream about manipulation of markets and LIBOR, and even precious metals now is coming out. Man, it's not looking good, guys. Your whole country's ran by the bankers and the oil cartels, the same families. People are starting to catch on, and it seems like you guys don't care, and you're just still pushing the same agenda. It's just not looking good. So we're kind of being proactive here, and we're going to go ahead and sign up with China before that window of opportunity closes. Because in case you haven't noticed, and I hate to say this because you are my BFF, China's taking the #1 spot, and you're actually not even going to be number 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 or even 10. You're pretty much going to be like way down the list. So we're kind of preparing ourselves for that, so we don't have to be taken down into the abyss with you. Maybe you can, I know the Chinese premier, maybe I can get you guys together. Let me give him a call. Hey, listen, it's Bozo Beast from Canada. I want to introduce you to one of my friends next door. His name's America. Hey, you there? Hello? Son of a gun hung up on me. That's pretty much how that conversation is going to go. So either you can see this and treat this as the writing on the wall is there and very clear, or you can bury your head in the sand like an ostrich and pretend that none of this is going to matter. We've been through worse. We'll get through this. We'll bounce back. You can tell yourself all that you want to tell yourself, and you know what? We may bounce back, but there's a problem when someone bounces back. If you have to bounce back, that means you're not there anymore at that level. And if you're not at that level anymore, what level are you at currently to where you're telling yourself we need to bounce back? And what happens during that period of time when you were once good, now you're not good, and you need to bounce back? That means it's a real hard time of living. Times are much tougher. Standard of living has dropped way down. The middle class has pretty much gone to the poor side, and then you have just a flat out rich and poor, which is where we're clearly heading as well. You can see that. So if you see this and it all makes sense to you, then how do you protect yourself from this happening and during that period of time when things are not going to be real good in America? I have one solution and only one. You must protect yourself financially for that collapsing system. How do you do that? Well, thousands of years of history say that gold and silver are the only way. Not pieces of paper contracts that says you own silver in some far off warehouse, and at any time just give us a call and come down and show us this piece of paper and we'll give you your gold and silver. No. You buy it and hold it in your house. That's how that goes. It's an object. It's a 1 ounce coin, for God's sakes. You can easily put that in your house in a safe, hide it somewhere, bolt it to the ground, etc. So, just to talk about that for another second or two, if that's a good idea, would any of these upcoming countries be doing the same thing, knowing that this is going to be happening, to say to the rest of the world, hey, we already have gold and silver. We're solid. We're straight. We're good. Well, that's funny. China is, and so is Russia, etc. India, part of that major BRICS nations formation of countries. They all are buying massive amounts of gold and silver. Meanwhile, they've been doing so since the highs of $1,900 silver, or gold, excuse me, and $49 silver, and buying all the way down. And when the price would go up, it didn't faze them. It did not matter. They continued to buy massive amounts, plain and simple. With what money? Well, that's funny, because China has, or has had, I don't know what they currently have, $2 to $3 trillion of U.S. debt. What a perfect way to go out with a bang for the U.S. and for China to come in with a phenomenal entrance. They're going to stand up one day and tell everybody, the whole world, everybody, I've got an announcement, China here. You're going to laugh your ass off when I tell you this. You're going to laugh your ass off. Everyone keeps asking us, how do we get this massive amount of gold and silver when all the numbers that America kept saying that they reported we had were at least twice as less than what we have? You're going to laugh? Okay, you ready? Yeah, go ahead, tell us, China. What's up, Canada? What's up? Listen. We used the trillions of dollars of U.S. dollars that we had in their debt to buy all the gold. So it was almost, didn't cost us anything. And right before the dollar collapsed, we had already accumulated all the gold and silver we needed. So that when the little bit of debt we had left with America didn't hurt us too bad that we took a loss. Because thanks to Americans rigging the markets, they held the prices down very well for at least 2 or 3 years, and we were able to buy the most we've ever bought during that time frame, again with the rest of our US dollar debt we had. And everyone's going to be laughing their ass off, except the United States and the people in the United States. We're going to be asking our politicians, excuse me, how in the hell did whatever all this crap just happen? You told us that the $800 billion, $850 billion of TARP funds was necessary. Obamacare that we now have to forcefully pay for was necessary. And all these other things, we had to double the amount of debt we created from $9 trillion from the day Obama stepped into office, from the time he left 2 terms, is now over 18, whatever it is, 18 trillion now. It's doubled in 8 years. And you said this was necessary, and QE, printing press, all this crap was necessary. We had a recovery going on. How come we weren't invited to deal with China and this new age or new whatever you want to call it system? It ain't the New World Order, because trust me, if it is, we're going to be involved in that. I think that's after the fact. They're going to try to push the New World Order, or they may just try to pull the World War III trigger and just bring us there, bypassing China's rise to the top and Russia and all them, and just throwing the world into war. Because we are sore losers. I have to admit it, we are sore losers, and we don't want to say, look, we had a good run, we ran the world for a long time, it's time for someone else to do it. No, because we have this thing called the military-industrial complex, massive amounts of private military contractors and bomb makers and weapon makers. It is the biggest, most appetizing beast, and the appetite is for your and my tax dollars, and we can't feed it alone. We don't make enough money in this country to feed it, and all the other expenses included that our country faces. So we just print the money and say, I'll pay you back later, kind of a thing. But those military contractors and whatnot, the military-industrial complex, so to speak, has enjoyed the fruits of all of our labor and the printing press's labor of just printing money, and they are not going to take no or we don't need you anymore for an answer. No. They're going to find a way, like I said they would, to where we need them. And the only way that happens is we go to war. As you can see, what's the news been lately? I'm going to up, Mr. President Obama, I'm going to up the number of troops heading over to the Middle East to deal with ISIS. And now they've, as I've mentioned, they like to change the name. ISIL? Is it ISIS or ISIL? What's the difference? Why do you change the name? What is this? Is it two groups? Oh, we're fighting two now? Is that what this psychology is? Let's pretend, oh, so the average person here is ISIS and ISIL. We now have two enemies. Oh, well, I guess we got to do something. But, as he said, this is a non-military role. As far as boots on the ground, this is a supportive role. We're going to be advising our allies in the area. You're sending in, I don't know the numbers, tens of thousands, 100,000, I don't know, tens of thousands at least, troops of our own, and they're going to be in an advisory capacity. Let me think about that. Average military person, whether it's a Marine, the Army, etc., has the skill set and smarts. Let's pull these kids off of a farm in the middle of Tennessee, cheer them up, to prop them up to think, USA, USA, go defend your country, son. They've got the brains, the smarts, the whole thing, fresh out of training, to go advise our friends and allies in the Middle East. Seems like you only need a few handful of people to go do that. So why do you need a bunch of troops, armed troops, to help advise? They don't do any advising. That's why. They take orders. And the orders are going to be, we just bombed, which by the way, this is true, just read this last night. We just bombed a Syrian oil field pipeline. Thought it was ISIL, or ISIS, or SMISIS, or Mises, or Moses. Maybe they'll give him a religious name. Moses. We'll create an enemy called Moses. No, that won't work. That's not going to work, because the religious people will... Now, keep it ISIL or ISIS. Okay. So we've bombed, as I also told you would happen. You're going to see infrastructure in Syria being bombed and hit, claiming either oops, accident, or it was an ISIL or ISIS target. When in reality, they're going to be nicking away at Syrian infrastructure. That is exactly what has been happening, and there's another confirmation last night. We hit another pipeline or oil field or whatever it was. I can't remember if it was the actual pipeline or the field. And it was Syrian. Sorry about that. We'll get our best guys over there to repair the field. BP, Exxon, Shell, come over here and repair this field for our pals over here in Syria. Our Assad himself, we're sorry about that. Okay, Assad, it's fixed. Okay, my friends, you can leave now. Nah, we're gonna... BP, oil, and Exxon and Shell, they want to stay. Matter of fact, we didn't really repair your oil field. We just put their equipment on top of it temporarily, and we're gonna use a little bit of that oil. We just need it. We need to borrow some for a little while, and that little while is going to be the rest of our lives, and you're not going to get a penny out of it. So that's what we're going to do. What happened in Iraq? Who got the sweetheart oil contract deals? I mentioned this in a video when it happened. This was a few years ago. The day Obama announced, we are leaving, we have left, we're picking up our stuff and leaving Iraq, like I promised you I would when I was made president. I told you I would get our troops out of Iraq, minus some that they're going to stay there indefinitely, but the majority of them got them out. The day after the oil contract deals were signed by the two, actually I don't think it was two of the big oil companies. The day after I read that they signed the contract with the Iraqi government to be on those oil fields, the day after, Obama comes out and makes his announcement. We're picking up and leaving. Do you think for 1 second that's just a simple coincidence? The name of the game is oil. And like that old map from the 9/11 days that came out from the military, or the guy at the Pentagon, or whatever it was, and he showed all these marks on the map in the Middle East of these strategic places we need to put bases and put guys. And oh, that's funny, they were in all of our enemies, which we don't call them enemies, they're just Middle Easterners we don't really care for, technically speaking. That's what our government said. All their oil field locations. Well, that's funny. That's before like 9/11 time frame that really happened. You already had a map of where all their oil fields were and where we were going to put our privately owned corporations such as BP, Shell, Exxon. Seems like there's a different agenda. Seems like our military men and women have been used and abused. All in the name of corporate profit and taking over other countries' resources that belong to them. I gotta tell you, I can't feel proud to be an American when that's what's happening. A fascist government is forming. And again, fascism is when you have the merger of corporate and state powers. The bankers and the oil cartel completely run and tell our powers that be, our politicians, what to do, what bills to pass, and here's a massive check of campaign contributions for you to get these laws and bills passed. And I know exactly how many other politicians I need to send the same letter to jump on board with the same campaign contribution fee inside to get that law changed or passed that we need passed. And then here's another campaign contribution, since you sit on this panel, that you get to say yay or nay about an unelected official taking this position of power in a different part of the government. Here's a campaign contribution for you with a side note that says, please allow this guy, he's an expert in the industry, to head that panel. And then they do. Unelected official who was selected by some body, as they call it, of congressman, or the president himself has the power sometimes. And now this person is in charge of changing regulatory rules and things of whatever industry it is, whether it's banking, oil, FDA, USDA, whatever it is. They change the rules. Okay, now that I've changed the rules, I can go back out. Just like the lawyer for Monsanto did. Go in, change the rules, go back out, get paid by Monsanto. Oh, we need some new rules changed. Go back in, got elected or selected again, change the rules again, go back out, work for Monsanto. That's a true story. So the first thing my brain does when I see a commercial, Humira, are you tired of your plaques, whatever, psoriasis, little red blotching of your skin? Use Humira, FDA approved. And then you hear the side effects that are so disturbing that even one of the 5 or 6 or 7 side effects, if even one of them, not if, but just take one of them, that should make the whole damn thing cancel out and FDA say this drug is banned. Much less 5, 6, or 7 side effects that are just as deadly. May cause premature kidney failure, liver disease. Can't fight, your immune system gets crushed. Can't fight off certain diseases. But you will have slightly clearer skin, by God. Well, shit. Sign me up. FDA approved, baby. Yeah.